Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Tsai in the Toyota Solutions Studio here at Women in the World, and I'm so pleased to be meeting and having join us Iasia Sweeting, who I guess I would describe as a survivor, as an activist, and definitely as a poet. Iasia, thank you so much for doing this. It's sort of difficult to recount your entire harrowing story, but to sort of summarize, you were held captive for 4 years.
Well, that's pretty much sums it up. It is a lot. It's a lot of intricate details, and I get a lot of questions, and I never have enough time to answer all of them. But we will try.
Yeah. So during that time, you wrote poetry, from my understanding. Were you a poet before you were kidnapped?
Yes. I wrote my very first poem when I was 4 years old.
Wow. You could write when you were 4?
I could write when I was 4. My brother taught me how to read when I was 3 years old. My mom paid him $10.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, that was a good deal. And so, you know, I've been writing ever since. And going through what I went through, I realized just how much I really, really needed poetry and how much it kept me alive. It gave me something to focus on and a way to remind myself of who I know myself to be and what I truly deserved as a human being.
It was a way for you to survive, I imagine, an outlet for you. What did you write about during that time?
Well, I couldn't really actually write what I was truly feeling on paper. Because a lot of times I would write about how angry I was that, you know, this had been happening to me. And a lot of it was very direct poetry. I feel like you can't lie in a poem. And so when I was in captivity, a lot of those poems that I wrote in captivity, very few of them survived because my kidnapper would take them, ball them up, and throw them in the trash. So a lot of them, I got a chance to write it down just so I could glance at it really quick, and I had to memorize it right then and there, and then I would have to erase it.
Were you able to remember them well enough that once you were freed and you were discovered that you were able to write them down? And was that important for you to do, to remember? Or did you just want to forget those days?
Well, I definitely, the poetry was a way to help me escape from actually having to accept that that all was happening to me.
The reality of it.
Yeah, that was I feel like the poetry was my window out. So, you know, I could like tune everything out. All of the mean and evil things that were being said to me, done to me, forced upon me. My poetry was the only thing that was a part of me from the very beginning and that I could maintain, because he wouldn't know that I could be reciting my poem in my head, and all of the mean and hateful things that he would be saying, I could still keep a smile on my face because I'm not where he is right now.
Yeah, it's like your mind was still able to remain free despite these horrible circumstances.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. That's exactly how it was, definitely.
Is there a favorite poem that you have today, whether it's one that you wrote when you were a kid or one that you've written since you were released and freed?
Well, that's such a hard question because
there must be so many poems.
All of them.
What about a
so
line
much.
or something that gives you hope every day?
Well, definitely the one with the most lines that I love the most is a poem that I wrote called Defy Gravity. And that poem, one time the kidnapper was, he was trying to suffocate me. He was bearing all his weight on me, and I couldn't breathe because he was so much heavier than I was. And I was saying that poem in my head, and at some point when I could get the breath to speak, and he felt like, you know, he had proven the point, I guess. I said it out loud, and I didn't realize that I was saying it out loud until, you know, he started coming back to try it, and he was chasing me at this point inside the room, and it was like, that was a very groundbreaking moment for me because, you know, it wasn't just enough to say it in my head. At a certain point, especially as the torture got more and more intense, I felt like, you know, those words of my poems were my weapons. That was the only way that I could fight back. Yeah. And it really helped. It really did. So
I know
guess
it's
that
hard.
would be defy gravity. Defy gravity wins.
And was that the line in your head, defy gravity? Is that what you said out loud to him?
Definitely. There's a line in Defy Gravity where I say, physical bonds are no match for the powers of the human spirit. And I can tell that he was very affected by the things that I was saying, because you could tell that he was afraid, but not so afraid that he would stop trying to hurt me. But it was almost like it was kryptonite to him.
Yeah.
It was like it was kryptonite, because
Probably wasn't expecting you to start
Oh,
uttering.
no,
He was probably
no.
expecting fear.
yeah, he definitely was, especially being that a lot of times that I would be asking him, like, why are you doing this to me, and you don't have to do this, please, if you can see it in your heart.
You were trying to appeal to his humanity.
Yeah,
Did you
I
ever
was.
find that in your
No,
head?
no, there was no humanity there, and it really hurt because growing up, I never knew that. I've always been taught growing up, and I still do believe that it's true, but it's just for some people it's a little further away than others. But I was always taught that there is some good in everyone. And I truly, truly believe that. And I was trying to find it. I really was. I was trying to identify it and speak to that little whatever, that seed or whatever that might have been in him, in his heart, that, made him human, and speaking to that side of him.
And you couldn't find it.
I couldn't find it. And whether or not it was there or if it had been missing even before he kidnapped me, I will never know. But
And yet what I see in you, which is extraordinary given what you've gone through, is a woman of extraordinary grace and strength. And I wonder where you get that from. I mean, I have a guess because I just met your mom.
yes.
So can you talk a little bit about where you got that? And did you get it?
Truly. Okay, so yes, it is largely from my mom, and then also my grandmother. Both my mom and my grandmother, in raising me, they just did such a wonderful job, I feel, in instilling in me that, the world is a beautiful place, and you are very, very loved by God, and you were created to be here on this planet, to share this planet with, all of these people. And while all of you might be different, the one thing that you do have in common is that God sees everything that happens to you. And so I think a lot of that grace comes from me knowing that, if no one else is able to see me, and in times of trouble, and in times of questioning and pain, and even also in times of joy and happiness and celebration, I know God sees me. And if he's there during both types, the negative and the positive, then, that's all that I can ask for.
So there are a lot of feminists at this summit, a lot of activists, a lot of really strong women. How do you see yourself in that movement, and how your experience maybe formed your strengths?
Well, truthfully honest, I always knew that I was going to be somewhere with a lot of amazingly powerful, strong, and passionate women. I always knew. I just didn't know when, of course, and I didn't know under what circumstances. But I do feel like, it has spoken to my heart at a very young age that it's important to be a part of everything that's going on in the world, and just to be mindful that, you're not the only one who's going through something at a certain time. And so it's wonderful to be here with so many women who I feel like it's such a nurturing environment.
Yeah.
So many women who understand, the struggles that I've gone through, and so many inspirational.
Yeah, so much support.
Definitely.
Iasia, tell me what the blue ribbon is for.
Yes. Okay. So this is the Child Abuse Awareness and also Human Trafficking Awareness ribbon, and also it stands for knowing about the realities of human trafficking and child trafficking, and also childhood slavery. And so I think it's very important to wear this ribbon. I'm passing them out too. So anybody who needs
when you
one.
were rescued, and I'm not even sure that's the right word, but who made a difference for you? Like, was it the first responders? Was it healthcare workers that helped you get on a path toward healing? And how can we support those people more?
Well, you did use the right word. Rescued is the perfect word, and I'm so thankful for all of the law enforcement, all of the emergency care workers who were there to be able to transport me to the hospital, and then also, of course, my family was there as soon as they heard, you know, that I was found. A lot of them didn't even know that I was still alive. But the one person, well, the two people that I know are largely responsible for me being able to live and be rescued and to be able to do this interview with you today are my daughter, Alcinti the Angel. I call her Alcinti the Angel because she was 15 months old, and she came to this earth with a purpose, and that purpose was that she knew that she had to lay her life down in order for her mom to be able to live.
She did not survive the ordeal.
Yeah, she did not survive. But I really do feel like she was my angel. She was my custodial guardian. And it's kind of strange because, you know, as parents, we think that, well, you know, and that's what was in my mind and in my heart. You know, I have to fight to live so that I'll be able to take care of my girls.
Yeah, it's instinct almost.
Yeah, it is. I was definitely thinking about, you know, it's important that they know that there's a life outside of this room where they were born. You know, it's important that we get a chance to, you know, walk on the beach, and I get to explain to them that, you know, there's a God in heaven, and there are people all over this planet.
So she gave you the will
yes.
to continue.
Yes, her and her older sister, who did survive. I have a 5-year-old who I am still fighting to gain custody of, and between the two of them, that was my strength to not give up, because I was so very close to death. So very close. It was so much to the point where I had even actually at a point accepted that I'm definitely dying, and I was ready to let go. But it was just that one thing that I knew I couldn't leave this earth because I had 2 babies who I had to take care of.
You were like 59 pounds when they
yes.
found you, and you were 20? Or
21.
21.
Yes.
Okay, fast forward to now. Obviously, not only are you alive, but you are thriving.
Definitely.
You have gotten a degree. What? Tell me where you are today, because it's a miracle.
Thank you. Okay, well, definitely when I was first rescued, I was in a vegetable-like state, and it was called catatonia. And so I could see what was going on in front of me, and I could hear people's voices, and I could, to a certain extent, be able to understand what they were saying, but it was like I was still in prison, and I was still in captivity because I couldn't speak, and I couldn't control my facial muscles.
Wow.
I couldn't move.
Like your body was shutting down.
Yeah, it was completely shut down. Actually, that's exactly what happened. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't use the restroom on my own. I couldn't walk. But it's like I could see the whole world happening around me, but I just couldn't tell everybody, I'm alive. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad to be alive, you know. And it was painful because, you know, I would see my family members. I would see my sisters and brothers and my mom and my grandmother. They're speaking to me, and they're like, you know, I don't even know if you understand what I'm saying, and I'm wanting so badly because I've never had to, I've never been at a shortage of being able to express myself, obviously, right? And so this was probably the hardest thing that this entire situation had brought about for me, was they are expressing themselves to me and I can't respond. I can't even hug them.
So how long was the recovery from that to normalcy?
It took a little while. It took about 7 months for me to come out of catatonia. And then even once I was approaching normalcy, it took even longer. I still feel like I'm actually still trying to grasp and understand that, you know, that amount of time when I was in captivity, it was not as long or as short as I thought. You know, I had a lot of time, memory lapse, things that were going on, and also a lot of health issues
of course,
stemming from that.
But you were able to get your high school degree?
Yes.
And what are you in college now? What do you do?
Well, I'm definitely on my way to college. I literally just took the SAT about 2.5 weeks ago.
That's great.
So I cannot wait to get those scores back. I cannot wait. So I'm definitely on the fast track.
You have found your voice again, clearly through your poetry.
Surely I have. A lot of people, especially my family members, they're like, you know, it's only been a few months. It's okay. You know, we know that you are working hard. I'm like, I can't stop. I can't stop. I have to keep going. I have to keep going. I have to let the people know, you know, this is a real thing, and we just have to be able to appreciate every day and be mindful that, you know, sometimes things happen in life that we don't plan, but that doesn't mean necessarily that your life is over. If you can still breathe, then there are a million and even more possibilities.
I mean, you are living proof of the resiliency of the human spirit. Iasia Sweeting, it's been such a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much, and good luck with the SATs.
Thank you, Stephanie.